Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yardmaster, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today, we are actually doing something rather unusual. We are attempting to take the Kurtzman designs and actually make them work. Specifically, we are working with the STD Connie, or as we are calling it, the Essex-Class.
There is a reason for this class designation and name change. 1. This vessel is 440 meters. That is rounded from the end of the saucer section to the tips of the nacelles. That is a 25% increase over the 289 meter length of the Constitution class.
Yes.
The neck is also much shorter, at a much different length. The
Pylons.
impulse engines are wider apart. The design of the engineering hull may look like a Connie, and I don't even need to get started on the pylons.
Yeah. And the nacelles, too. They also look way too advanced.
It's like they were trying to NX it while also trying to make it TOS. It did not succeed.
Yeah. So what we are doing is we are calling this a retro design. Like the Exeter from the previous video, this is Starfleet ship designers in the 25th century going back into the past, taking a design and improving upon it.
And in this case, enlarging it. After all, they need to find a way to replace the Excelsior class. Simply upscaling the Resolute isn't going to... Simply modifying the Excelsior class design into the Resolute isn't going to cut it. They need something different.
Yeah.
So why not embrace nostalgia and go with a tried and proven design?
Just a little bit bigger.
25% bigger.
Yeah. Now, first two things we need to determine: launch date and scale.
As with many, I'd say this is very much a 2400 vessel.
Right, 2400, so that gives us 60 points.
It could also be 23. It could also be 2390s. The skin does remind me somewhat of the Inquiry class.
Fair enough. That would be like late 2390s if we do that. That would be 59 points.
We will give you some wiggle room depending on when the hell you want this ship to be made.
Yeah. The document file that I'm stating will have an entered service date of 2400. But if you wish to do your own versions, you can simply make a copy and make the edits as you need. Now, scale. The original Connie was scale 4, but I'm thinking this might be a scale 5.
Like I said, it would be a attempt to supplement or outright replace the Excelsior with a proven design.
Yeah. So, this gives us 61 points to put into the various systems. I'll follow the ELH's Antares Shipyard thing and start out by just putting 10 points into all the systems, and then we can add the extra point and then figure out other adjustments from there.
Considering the size of the ship, I'd say shielding is a top priority.
Right, and that technically involves the structure, so structure goes up to 11.
It's also much bigger than the Constitution, so it's not going to be as maneuverable.
Right.
Mass, propulsion, that sort of thing. So -1, perhaps 2 for engines.
Right. Engines also counts power generation, so we'll just drop that by 1, so 9. So where do we put that point?
I'm gonna have to say sensors. That is a
Alright.
big dish. Even if it goes all retro, just because it
That
looks old does not mean it is old.
Yeah. So sensors 11. Alright. So we're currently sitting at comms 10, computers 10, engines 9, sensors 11, structure 11, weapons 10.
This is among one of the most advanced starships in the fleet, even if it does look, well, older.
Yeah. I figure that's probably a good split. No need to adjust that further. Now for departments. Again, three points. We can put those. We can split those between command, con, security, engineering, science, or medicine. No more than 2 points to any one department.
I would say tactical and science.
So at least 1 to each of those.
Not entirely sure about command. This doesn't strike me as a command vessel.
Yeah. So +1 security, +1 science. We could bump either of those up to 2, or we could put a point into command, con, engineering, or medicine.
Medicine.
Alright, so this thing can work. So this thing is an explorer, and it can work for crisis relief, but it's also capable of defending itself in a pinch.
Just like the Constitution.
Yep. Speaking of defending itself, now we get to weapons. As a scale 5 ship, it gets a strength 4 tractor beam. Now for the weapons. Phaser arrays are probably standard issue at this point.
I'd say more phaser banks. They're going back to retro, and I don't see any evidence of phaser arrays on this thing. They're all probably old-style domes that have been modified for modern spec. So
Fair
it's
enough.
definitely mounting phaser banks, probably old-style blue ones, for that retro flare, and photon torpedoes.
Phaser banks, photon, torpedoes. Yeah, fair enough.
Now we have to talk about one thing. The pylons. There are 2 configurations, and we have to bring those up.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to be saying, what about the saucer section? Does this look remotely like a good idea to anyone?
No. The gamma section, the gamma saucer. Honestly, that's just the best.
It is the safer design. Let's be perfectly honest here. That window is a dumb idea. And I'd like to shoot who was ever responsible for putting it in.
Yeah.
So, pylons. What's the purpose of the pylons?
Purpose of the pylons is to connect the nacelles to the hull.
I'm talking about the configuration. What's the difference between the straight nacelles and the TMP style nacelles?
Basically just a visual thing.
Yeah, but this is also very structural. I mean, those pylons are going in at 2 different places.
Yeah.
The angled back ones go further into the saucer section, while the straight ones are a little further back on the engineering hull. So,
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two? Is this the original design? Is this the original Essex-Class, or is this the original Essex-Class? This is a question we have to answer.
Yeah.
Now, E.C. Henry made a very compelling argument about the placement of the nacelles, that being space for the shuttle bay, and I cannot deny that.
Yeah.
That said, the shuttle bay also goes past the nacelles anyways for both designs.
Yes.
So, what's the difference between the two? And do we have to make a special rule for both? This is a compelling question that we must answer.
Yes. I think, for the purposes of the shipyard, of the Tethys shipyard, we'll just go with the angled ones. I think those look a little better in this design.
However, for those wanting to use straight nacelles,
you can easily do that.
So,
now we come to talents.
I have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Connie the size of an Excelsior.
Yeah. Yeah. The original Connie had modular laboratories and rugged design, while the Excelsior had improved warp drive and secondary reactors.
Well, I'd say secondary reactors and rugged design. I hate to say this, but this is not a science vessel.
Yeah.
It is an explorer, but it's not a dedicated science vessel.
Yeah, rugged design and secondary reactors. Alright. That seems good for talents. And for Federation and for traits, we had Federation Starship. Maybe a dose of nostalgia.
What kind of trait would that be?
Well, that would be like the name of the trait, dose of nostalgia. This is basically like traits are like descriptor terms.
Yeah, but what does the trait do?
Doesn't do much.
Maybe it could be an inspiring thing. Maybe the crew gets an extra perk point or something.
Basically, for a starship trait, it's a descriptor term, but it doesn't have very many mechanical effects. Like, let's see, the Enterprise B, the notable starship for the Excelsior class, the Enterprise B, had the Federation Starship trait. It also had the traits the Great Experiment and Legendary.
Certainly fits. Legendary certainly fits.
Yeah, and the notable starship for the Constellation class is not the Stargazer, surprisingly. The Aranos Earth, and basically crewed by Andorians, and it had the traits Federation Starship, long-serving, traditionally Andorian. And again, this sort of continues with various starships and the traits that they have. All Federation starship is the common one, but some have special ones as well. Like sometimes these can go into the starship itself, but some are on the space frame. But like for the Enterprise D, it was Federation starship, Federation flagship, 6 to bear the name Enterprise. And
well, I like having everything actually serve something of a purpose.
right, we'll just stick with Federation starship. And ships with mission pods have a trait showing what mission pod they're using.
Well, this thing doesn't have a pod, but it's certainly old looking.
Yeah. Oh, the Olympic class, that one has an additional trait, the non-combatant trait, because those things are hospital ships.
For the most part.
Yeah. But, yeah. Alright, so just Federation starship for the traits. Can't really think of any special rules. I mean, I don't know. The quantum slipstream burst drive is common in Star Trek Online, but I don't know if it's on everything in real life, so...
And I'm not entirely sure this ship could even use it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. It's designed to look nostalgic.
Yeah. And it certainly does that, but quantum slipstream might be a bit much.
Yes, I'm having fun by flipping the ship upside down.
Yeah. Anyway, that is the Essex. As usual, when the vid gets close to when it comes time for us to upload this thing, I will provide Ron with a link to add to the description.
Bye.